Ladies and gentlemen, you have fantastic benefits as federal employees. However, if you don't know what elections to make when you retire, you can inadvertently lose a lot of those benefits for your spouse, unless, of course, you make certain elections, which we're going to talk about today. We're going to focus on what they call survivor benefits to make sure that your spouse, your family, is protected, even if you're not around. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Dallin Haas. I'm a financial planner who serves feds every day, and I love it. So let's talk about this. So what on earth is survivor benefits? Well, survivor benefits has to do with your federal pension. That monthly check you get from the government every single month, that is guaranteed for the rest of your lifetime. You will get that for the rest of your life. However, if you want your spouse to be able to continue a piece of that pension beyond your lifetime, it's going to cost you. And it's not cheap. There's three main options of what you can leave behind, and there's different pros and cons. These are, of course, the three options. Option number one is if you want to give the most you can give. The most you can give for survivor benefits, it will cost you 10% of your pension right now when you're both alive. In exchange, so your spouse will be left with 50% of your pension if something happened to you. So that's the most you can leave. You can't leave 100% of your pension. The most you can leave is 50. So let me give you an example of what the numbers might look like. Let's say your pension is $3,000 per month. If you elect this, and when you're both alive, you will have a deduction of $300, and you will only actually receive $2,700. That would be your gross pension when you're both alive. But if something happened to you, your spouse would get half of the original amount, so that would be $1,500. That's how that works out. It costs you 10% when you're both alive. If something happened to you, they would inherit 50%, 50. So, well, that's option one, I guess. Option two is it will cost you 5% of your pension, but they will inherit only 25%. So in our example, it would cost only $150 a month, but of course, they would only inherit $750. So they'd inherit a lot less, but it would cost you a lot less. And last but not least, you don't actually have to elect a survivor benefit. You can just opt out. You can say, no, I don't want to pay for any of that. And so it would be zero. And by the way, if you're single, then yeah, there's no survivor benefit. This only applies if you are married. However, keep in mind, while it is an option to elect no survivor benefits or just a partial survivor benefit, on the retirement application, which is, by the way, when you make this decision, it's when you retire, you fill out the retirement application and you decide which of these you want to have. If you want to elect anything but the full, so if you want to elect the partial or none, then you have to get notarized consent from your spouse. They have to be in writing to, I am okay with not the full survivor benefit. So it's not the sort of thing you can sneak behind their back and do. You have to get notarized consent from them. And by the way, once you make this election, there's only a very short window where you can make any changes to it, and then it's locked in. So basically, once you make this election, it's locked in for the rest of your life. So it's not something that you say, oh, well, we won't elect it now, but we'll add it later. No, that's really not an option. Again, there's a small window after you retire where you actually can add it, but it's a very small window, and it closes very quickly. So long story short, you want to understand what the options are when you're doing this the first time so you don't have any problems later. Now, let me explain one really critical piece here. Health insurance. If you elect the none option, where you don't leave any survivor benefit for your spouse, if you pass away, they can no longer stay on your health insurance. They can no longer stay on your health insurance if you do not leave them a survivor benefit. Even the partial benefit will work. The partial survivor benefit will keep the health insurance. But if you do not elect one at all, if you pass away and you're the only Fed in the relationship, then they would lose your health insurance. Now, if you're both Feds and you're both eligible for FEHB on your own records, then no problem. Maybe they don't rely on yours, but just keep in mind that you would lose the health insurance, or they would lose the health insurance if that you don't elect a survivor benefit. So those are the core options. And really, this is a good way to summarize this. There's two reasons to elect survivor benefits. Number one, do they need the money? If something happened to you, are they going to be in a hard financial situation? Do they need just the income from your pension to be okay? And number two, do they rely on your health insurance? If the answer is, well, no, they don't need the money, they have plenty of money, they just need the health insurance, then maybe the partial survivor benefit would work because it costs less, it's cheaper, and they would have the health insurance. But if it's the money they need, maybe they need the full, right? You'd have to have that conversation and say, okay, what would you need to be comfortable? So those are the options for survivor benefit. You got 3. Again, it only applies if you're married, basically. And you can pick any of them, but of course you have to understand the ramifications of your decisions because these will impact the rest of your life and your spouse's life to come. So I hope that is helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video.